But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out first and foremost to new patron Robert Edward, Pablo de la Cruz, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name Spurley, J Mels 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon, as I say, are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Weird bastards, man. Now they get nothing. Now I read nothing out, no more. No more entertainment for this prick. He's going to be talking to the air.
Fucking creepy stuff, mate. Absolute creepy. Like I say, if that's what they're investing the time in, trying to find out where you live and your phone number and trying to do that is psychological. That needs.
Now I blocked them all.
Psychological.
Now I blocked them all.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how to do it though. How do you do it if you want to? You hit the icon. How do you block them?
What, on the phone number?
What's that?
For a phone number.
No, how do you block them? Like in the Discord, the DMs. How do you block them from sending your messages?
Oh, I don't know how you do that, mate. I'm not sure on that one.
I'll just freaking get rid of Discord altogether. I don't give a shit about Discord, but it's not even me. You know what I'm saying? It's my, oh shit, Nathan's here. I don't want to talk about it no more. Talk to you later. I'm going on G+. Not giving them no more entertainment.
Hey, Len. Hey, Neil.
What's up, Nathan? What's up,
All right, Nathan.
Hey, Surf Daddy.
Did you and Paula have a nice day for her birthday?
Yeah, very nice.
Meanwhile, the night before, McToon was streaming, urging Paula to take the kids and run.
I don't think we should even discuss these people anymore. Since the last turn of events, and now I found out who was responsible for it, these people are freaking whacked out individuals that can't handle that their ball was taken away. They don't know how to deal with measurements. Nathan, Coriolis, distance to the sun, gravity, nothing has caused them so much pain than the measurement, because measurement ends it for them. So I'm done with them. I will no longer read out a message. They could all die if I care.
I've been saying this for weeks, right? I mean, I've been saying it for years in my general demeanour towards not giving a shit once the show's over. I mean, they're just doing their job.
No, I know what you're saying. That's exactly what I was doing. And once this show's over, I don't like in the beginning of the early days, maybe the first 5 years, yeah, you're bouncing on different servers, talking about it. But once the measurement came out, it's been like a decline. Like, I don't even want to go to these Discord servers anymore. It hurts my brain. Like one deck went to Earth Awakenings and they were talking about freaking Coriolis. Like stupid shit for a long time. So I don't even waste my. Once this show's over, that's it.
Yeah, but like I said to you, Neil and Nathan, is I am actually, I don't go in like I used to now. I used to go in politics arguing, and I was called the elevation angle guy for a while. Oh, here he is again, because that's all I'd go on about and shouting and screaming. And anyway, blah blah blah. But I popped in last night there to listen to, because I am finding it interesting. Like I've just explained to Neil, is going in like a pretty cool manner. And just using the, just talking how we talk about, if you're going to mention miles, I'm just going to point out that that's a flat earth prerequisite. Or if you're talking about distance or direction, I'll point that out too. Just in a nice, general, calm manner, which is how it started. But then I found myself getting a little bit heated again because there was 3 or 4 of them jumping all over me when I was talking about sea level being the 0 degree baseline for all mapping. But I'm doing it because I'm interested to see how they respond now, psychologically with that approach, rather than shouting and screaming at them, just pointing out how everything they say is leaning towards a flat earth measurement and pointing it out it's every other word they say, isn't it? And just seeing how they behave and how they deal with that is, I'm finding that quite interesting. That's my excuse for going in there anyway.
There's nothing wrong with going there and listening, but like you don't go in there with the same fervor that you used to go in there with. Like I go in there, I'll listen, I'll be like, I can't even deal with this, and I'll leave. I won't even say anything.
Sometimes there's just not much to say. Once you get them to say, well, yes, they're going to use a horizontal and level plane to measure this stuff, but that doesn't mean it's flat.
Yeah, that's when you leave. That's when you leave them to their own devices.
Okay, we're done here.
Levels not
Right, now
horizontal.
it's all about psychoanalyzing them. Sorry, Nathan.
No, it's me, mate. Sorry.
Big
Paul, have a good
lovin'.
birthday, Nathan. Just saying, did Paul have a nice birthday?
Yeah, very nice.
Nice one. Happy birthday, Paula.
So
Tell you what, there's a change in the world. Sorry, Nathan.
She's in the kitchen in a minute, so she overheard you and shouted, "Thank you."
No, nice one. Hope you got spoiled, Paula, if you love ones.
Sorry, were you asking me something? I was looking for a Chase Hughes video. Were you asking me something? I was only half paying attention.
No, I was just saying, I hope you spoiled it, Paula.
Not really. I bought a couple of pairs of shoes and we went to McDonald's. Not exactly spoiling her.
Do you guys have that new burger that McDonald's has now? The Big Arch?
Maybe, I don't know. I just had a Big Mac.
Oh, okay. I think McDonald's should go back to the way they used to do it in the 70s. It was such a good burger back then.
Sounds like a teenager's first state, that Nathan mind.
Well, it can't be beef that they're selling, Neil, as there's not enough cows.
If it was in the 70s, when you bought a Big Mac, it was a Big Mac.
Right, I can't find the video I want to talk about, but I'm just going to talk about it because I'll forget about it otherwise, and I can't find it in my shorts list for us to react about it. Right, there's a Chase Hughes video where he's explaining how he describes people. Now, he gives 4 different categories of what you can perceive another person to be, but I can only remember 3 of them, so I'm just going to go through the 3 that I remember. There's an in-between one that I've forgotten, right? He gives an example where you're driving along and a guy in a sports car intentionally cuts you off. And then as he's driving away, he opens his sunroof and gives you the bird as he burns away, right? Now, you can assess that person at stage 1 as being broken. That is to say, you need to fix this person. So you can chase after them, you can cut them up to get even, you can express your dominance, right? That's sort of level 1. The next step is to secretly wish harm upon them, but not necessarily do anything about it. In other words, you see that person and think, asshole, and I hope you end up in a ditch, right? That's the second stage, right? But you don't chase after them, you just let them go about their day, but it's affected you, right? The third stage is to have an acceptance of the fact that that person is an asshole, and that is what they do. That is who they are. And therefore, them being an asshole is just what that person does and is. And once you accept that that is just what that person is, you can ignore it in the same way you'd ignore the weather. So you don't try and bargain or reason with the weather, you just accept that today is raining. And that's how it is. That person is that person. That is them doing their job. And their job is being an asshole. Now, he gave an example of this in practical application when he was in the Navy, and he has these lower down the ranks individuals moaning about one young new recruit who is constantly lying. And they're appealing to him to do something about it, get him to stop lying, they're asking him. And he's like, why would I do that? It's like, well, because he's constantly lying. He's like, well, of course. It's like, what do you mean, of course? It's like, well, that's what he does. He's a liar. So that's, how can I stop him being what he is? That's what he is, a liar. So you can't do anything about that. That's what that person, that's their raison d'etre. That is what it is to be them. So, once you accept that, you can get on with your day a lot easier. You're not chasing down the road trying to fix these people. Now, in terms of how that transposes, I'm sure you can all instantly hear the parallels with what we do and how we react to the people around us, right? Whether or not you choose to try and fix these people, you don't understand that Earth's measured flat? You are wrong. You need to be fixed, right? Or, okay, right, you understand that there's flat Earth measurements, but you want to brace against me and my wife. Okay, I wish you were in a ditch. Just a wanker. Or, oh, well, that's that person doing their job as a wanker. Now, that makes me far more indifferent. The last acceptable stage is to reconcile the fact that these people are what they are. People are people. They just do as they do. And there's very little changing them. Leopards don't change their spots. Once an asshole, always an asshole. These people, it's like, I can't remember, on a slightly different note, a healthcare nurse, when my dad was dying, I was watching a lot of healthcare videos. And one of the things that this person said struck a chord was, there are no miserable old men. There's just miserable men. That is to say that if they're old and miserable, they were middle-aged and miserable, they were young and miserable, they were miserable. There's just miserable men. And people who aren't like that, by contrast, happy-go-lucky old men, doesn't have such a ring to it. But generally speaking, people with a positive disposition and a happy-go-lucky demeanour have had that disposition most of their lives. If not all of their lives, that's who they are. Yeah? They might be euphoric and delusional. There obviously are exceptions. But you know what I'm driving at, right? Now, when we see the creatures around us doing what those creatures have done, and if that behaviour has made them successful, they will continue to do exactly as they do. Now, assessing them, fun though it is for a show, doesn't necessarily help you in a positive way to have a brighter demeanour if you're concerned about fixing their disposition. That is to say, if they're trying to dox you, they're going after you, they're trying to in some way encroach on your life that's in a negative way, that's what they do, right? That's that person. That's what they do. Now, again, assessing if that makes them happy, well, undoubtedly not. Doing miserable stuff like that isn't done because it's joyful. It's not going on a roller coaster. It's not going out to the farm and watching lambs being born. It's not strawberry picking. It's going after another man's family, job, whatever it is that these people do. So in that regard, it's I can't remember what the fourth stage is that Chase Hughes went, but going for the latter stage where you just accept that is them just doing their job, if you will. That is what they do. Why would you try and change it? You can't change it. That's what they are. That's who they are. Know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good that, Nathan. I suppose it's how you respond to these things, isn't it? And like you say, your response isn't really. Your response is only going to affect yourself, really, because you're not going to be able to change the way that person is or the way they're behaving. You're correct. Yeah, it's a good example you've given there. But we've all done it. I think I have. You want to change these people and get them to understand. But there's that type of person, and we should be just saying, "Oh, he's one of them," whatever that is. You're dealing with that. You're dealing with one of them. So, you're not going to be able to alter anything. It's just the way that the creature behaves. So now you've recognised that.
McLovin will always be McLovin.
Yeah, exactly. The dweeb of the group will always be that dweeb. So yeah, there's no point trying to fix these people. There's no point trying to change them. Now, obviously, there's going to be like-minded souls who come across us and what we do. Let's talk about what Earth actually is as it is. If we want to stand back from the downplaying the reality that Earth was, is, and always will be measured flat, and lean into the distressed version that I get put to me currently by my own side, which is, no, there will be a change of the world. How can you say it's not? Fundamentally, the world, they don't have this, but I do, in the mind's eye of the person who's having this information presented to them, fundamentally changes. You go, okay, well, that is why it is a fascinating subject to be in the subject corner of, to discuss, right? For us, if we, like I say, cast away the shackles of restraint for the purposes of trying to influence people and just go, well, what is this subject to you as an individual or to me as an individual? I go, well, yes, okay, it is absolutely revolutionary. How can you say it isn't when the world that you perceived it to be is fundamentally altered in such a radical way from what you perceived it to be based on what you were told versus how it's just being dealt with and measured without, for the most people measuring it, a comprehension that there's an inconsistency at all. There is no requirement to disclaim how incongruent with the religion of a ball the flat earth we measure is. It's just right underneath the surface, but nobody notices. Well, that in and of itself is interesting, beyond the complete paradigm shift that all of us have experienced over the last 10, 12, however many years it's been for each of us as individuals. Therefore, the subject to be discussed is interesting. Now, like flies around shit, this subject has been made shit by the powers that should not be in an algorithmic manner. They've made the subject of the simplistic nature of measuring the world that we actually inhabit in the way we actually measure it and acknowledging that fact into idiots that need mocking and ridiculing, making the people who recognise it lives miserable, which is unfortunate. But for the fact that that is one thorn in a side that is revolutionary, you can lean easily into the joy that the subject brings over the people being people, and scummy that they will be scumbags. But it doesn't change how, for you, the individual, life-altering this may be. And that's not going to be disallowed by me. Not going to be knocked anymore, or I'll try not to. So yeah, okay, I get it. It's only in your mind that it's changed, because the world that you step out on when you open your front door has not altered in any way. It can't. The world can't unfold from a globe. The globe was only ever a way of perceiving the world, as opposed to the way the world actually is. So your perception is all that has changed. Now, that's no big deal, really. Your perception is malleable, very, very malleable. But when you recognise it, that's an intriguing and exciting realisation.
Yes, indeed.
If people want to share in that joy, then more power to them. The problem is the people that don't want to relinquish the old paradigm end up, rather than sharing in the joy, spreading misery, which is a shame for them.
Yeah, it is a lot easier now. You know, not that, I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I've been through ups and downs with this topic. You know, with all the stories, falling out with family, arguments, getting into fights, shouting and screaming. But I think now, recently, I do feel a lot more chilled out and relaxed with the point that we're at with it, this journey.
Yeah, but that burns a lot of people up because you're so laid back. It's just annoying to a lot of people. But I really don't care no more because it doesn't matter to me. I'm done. I'll hang out here with you guys and talk what we talk about. And that's it.
I appreciate the moment for what it is. If you are experiencing this as a paradigm shift that's insurmountable, huge, then let it be, right? Fine. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Share that joy with me. Great.
Yeah, and if it happens, right? We're all here. We'll talk about that as it's happening, correct? But and I've been guilty of it. I've been prophesying that it's going to happen. When everybody comes to terms that Earth is flat, there's going to be big changes, right? They're going to go after NASA. Well, look, whatever happens, happens. I'll be here discussing it, though. How we doing with the book? Getting back to work today?
Maybe. We'll see.
I mean you, because now it's at the phase where it's just you and Paula. Now we're just waiting in anticipation, as a lot of people are.
Yep.
That's really bothering a lot of people too, though, Nathan. The release of your book. You got so many people like putting the good oinkies on it. You know what that means? Putting the good oinkies on it? The eye, giving it the evil eye.
What they got to worry about?
What have they ever had to worry about? That's not the point. But that's the type, you just discussed the type of people that there are out there. And there's type of people that just want bad things to happen to you. They even said they're waiting for when everything in your life dissipates and you fall on your face and the book's a failure. What kind of person is that?
I don't want to echo the same sentiment. Like crabs in a bucket mentality. Bring next man down and you might elevate yourself.
But what I'm trying to figure out, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? If you say it's flat, like, why is that so alarming to people? Like, it's flat. That's it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's like, if you imagine like a film or a documentary where there's people living on there's people like gangs and living on the street, and a lot of these, a number of these people have understood that the Earth is flat and it's not a globe, and they've got to this stage where they can highlight that. And then the other gangs on the street don't like this, and they're going out the way to actually hunt the these people down who measured Earth flat and kill them. Literally kill them. Either stab them, strangle them, torture them, just murder them, basically, because he needs to get rid of them. I mean, if he was watching that on a film or a documentary, you think, bloody, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? You know, just because no, they don't agree with the rhetoric of the heliocentric model. The gangs are actually going to kill you.
They're not fighting over territory, are they?
It's pretty similar what's going on now, but you know, that's got to that killing stage yet. Yet, Neil.
I don't know. It's weird. I've never had a desire to freaking find anybody. I mean, it takes a lot of work. At least for me, it would. Just don't interest me, you know? I didn't give a shit.
I mean, what on screen now? What can you? It's there, isn't it? You got eye level parallel with surface level, depression angle in between the 2 points. I mean, a dangling dingleberry underneath doing not much.
But even that's a flat circle on a piece of paper. I'm tired of these paper freaking things people bring. There's one guy in the other day, I forgot what chat it was in. It was in the flip side on one of the freaking chat skanking things. This guy put a whole freaking diagram and stuff together, totally ignoring the freaking flat graph that he was drawing on, totally ignoring the angles that he drew on this piece of paper. Tell me that it's a globe.
Yeah. I'm finding it quite. I'm not. It's nice when you when you notice these things now when someone's talking to say, "Well, hang on, you're using you're referencing flat Earth every second word you're saying." You know, when you mention the distance to the aeroplane or the height above, sea level, the mile distance to X, it's all referencing flat Earth.
That's exactly what he was doing too. He's like, the angle over here gives you the distance. And I'm like, am I in bizarro world here? He's actually drawing it out on a diagram, which is flat. And he's telling me that it's a globe with these angles he's taking.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen it over the years with some of the celestial navigation video guys who then, they're drawing divergent light into the center of a globe on the flat plane inside the globe and telling you this is how celestial navigation is. We've seen it. They're drawing it on the whiteboards and as flat and horizontal and level, but telling you this is curved. It's crazy.
You think about it, right?
I suppose once you know what we're at a realization point now where we're just we can see it clear as day. They can't. They're not. I don't know why not, but they can't, or they're choosing not to. I think there's some people who. Yeah, but I think there's some people who do. I don't know, I'm not naming names, but there's some of these globers or anti-flat earthers who do realise it's measured flat, obviously, but they're just going along with it, and because they can't do anything else. But then there's other people who are maybe, not in this arena type of thing, like people that will. I think we've been over some videos where people are explaining that, you do it from the centre of the globe and drawing angles out from, when that's not happening, but in their mind, they're explaining as if this is a normal procedure.
Hey, Nathan,
Weird, isn't it?
yeah, this is what I was thinking to bring it to what you're saying. In the beginning, I used to just hear celestial navigation only works on a globe. And I think they would deliberately did not want to go to celestial navigation because that demonstrates how Earth is flat. And they only had to deal with it when we started talking about it. But I think they knew it all freaking long. Same thing with cartography and freaking surveying. I never heard those things brought up extensively, just in passing, because they knew that that would demonstrate how Earth is flat. How are they going to argue a globe using celestial navigation? It's easy to just say it only works on a globe and move on.
Well, I don't think you're giving people credit that's not warranted when you suggest that they've looked into how tangential to a sphere transposed in a sphere at the equatorial plane in a globe means that you are literally utilising the flat surface level measurements from within a glorified protractor. People don't realise that. They just hear an explanation that's nice and short and concise and repeat it. People want cognitive shortcuts so they don't have to expel much mental energy. So if you hear a rhetoric like celestial navigation only works on a globe, well, number one, you and I know through the phraseology of someone saying that they haven't appreciated that it's not on, it's in. Celestial navigation would be described, if you're going to infer the Haversine converted calculations from the arc of the protractor being the surface, that works from within the globe, like the latitude is the lines wrapped around you. So you're on a plane in a globe. But if you say celestial navigation only works on a globe, that's just somebody repeating someone else's rhetoric. Now, if you were so inclined to go and look at how the flat surface and the angles you measure transpose into sphericity, you then have an explanation that's, to a degree, for the person who's looked into it, satisfactory. To say, oh, that's how it works on a globe, in a globe. Well, then I can get on with my day, because it does work. Here's an explanation for how there's a globe-shaped world with the angles moving from the centre of it, because for reasons, and that's good enough for the person that's looked into it at a surface level. Now, the fact that it's incongruent with the reality of the measurements that you're taking is neither in or there if you're trying to affirm your bias, because you've scratched your heading on, how does this work? Now, for that person that's done that at some stage, and then they come across a flat earther, they go, well, celestial navigation only works on a globe, because they've only ever looked into, at a surface level, how that transposes inside the globe, because that was their explanation. And because it is an explanation, that means it must be right, because that's how they learned the squaring of the circle. That's how they learned to explain away the flat earth measurements in a globe so that it can be worked or seen to be working in a heliocentric manner. Now, we've looked beyond all of that and gone, well, we're just measuring Earth flat in the first instance, therefore we're measuring Earth flat, because we are. And then we don't look beyond it. But if you're trying to convince yourself through cognitive bias, affirmation of that bias, then you're going to try and find an explanation. And if there is one, you go, well, that means it works. Well, no, it doesn't work from within a globe. You're transposing it so that it can seem to be working with the conversion from the flat plane measurements into a spherical system that you can then convert flat Earth coordinates onto a surface level that you're projecting out from within on the equatorial plane. That's more complicated than most people could appreciate. I can. I've had 3 years of lessons from 10th Man and 10 years to understand these concepts as a whole. Most people haven't, so you can't ascribe them as already knowing, or you must have known it was flat in that regard, because they're seeking to confirm their bias, not disavow it. Most people want, if they're troubled by it, to confirm that they were right in the first place, not how am I wrong.
So it's Nathan. Forget about all that Haversine shit. If somebody just looks into a sextant and how a sextant works, you can't deny what you're seeing with your own eyes.
No, but if you suddenly went, well, how does that work with the globe? And then you went and confirmed it, and you came across Haversine conversions and projections of maps, and then the equatorial plane in a globe, you go, oh, well, that's how it works.
I see what you're saying. Confirm their bias. They're just, okay, yeah, I got it. But what about freaking surveying? Come on, you got to be able to see it there.
Yeah, but there's a disconnect. We are separate from the people who do the surveys. Flat Earth isn't about surveying the Earth, is it? Flat Earth is about conspirators Surveying is about surveying. The fact that surveying is flat is detached entirely in a completely separate, protected category to what we do, or what we perceive to do, or what we may have done for many a year, not anymore necessarily. But, you know, early days for us as a new breed of flat earther. But you're describing the disconnect between what's propagandized into being a flat earther and what we do and how we recognise it, and then mirroring that to somebody who's measuring Earth flat and going, well, they must have known they were measuring it flat. Well, of course. But there wasn't ever any suggested reason to disclaim that that's incongruent with their sphere belief.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm pretty okay, not too bad. Ordered some acoustic panels yesterday, so for the last birthday and Christmas, my mother has given me money, bless her, and I just didn't spend it on the thing that I'd said I'd wanted the money for. So I'm like, I want acoustic panels. She's like, oh, I'll give you some cash for them. I'm like, no, I want acoustic panels. Because cash just disappears into paying bills and keeping lights on and things of that nature. So for that reason, I haven't actually ordered any. Now, I am running to the point where I want to eventually produce an audiobook and will want to record in this space. So I want it to be as good as possible. And at 95% treated, I want to do the last little 5%. And that means ordering 3 panels, which I did today. So over the last couple of days, I've been talking back and forth with GIK Acoustics, who are the people that have treated the rest of the space. It's just the bit that's on camera that looks all right, hodgepodge. So I'm going to actually get that nice and finished. Hopefully move all the panels that I've currently got into different positions and then have a whole wall of hexagon shapes behind me. So it just looks a little bit prettier when I'm on camera, out and about promoting my book. So that was done to a degree over the last couple of days. I've ripped out all of the shelving that was behind me. I've taken all the microphones and put them in flight cases, so they're all tidied away. And I think I've got 10 or 11 microphones left on eBay. At one point I had 100 that were for sale. Now I'm down to the last 10, having not bought any since the end of January. And perfect in terms of the crossover time. So just before the book's coming out, all the microphones will run out, and then that revenue stream will completely dry up. But like I say, I've bit the bullet, even though I don't necessarily have strictly quite enough money to cover it. I do have a few pennies, so I have decided to bite the bullet and buy the panels, which I've been putting off for about 2 years, and just do it. Go ahead.
It's going to look different behind you now once you install them.
Yeah, very different. Currently,
Cool.
what's behind me is a whole load of gaps. So above me, to the side of me, and to the other side of me, well, there'll just be hexagons, 3 panels that are the same dimensions as the one that are behind me, but vertically mounted, 3 in a row. And then this corner will get the one that's above me. You can't see it quite in shot. Go here. And then this one that's a square one will go along this side wall here. So all the way across, there'll be hexagons. And then behind me, there's 3 very, very big bass traps. They will have a third added to the 2 that I've already got. So there'll be a 37 hertz along with the 2 40 hertz bass traps that are covered with another piece of rock wool that's covered in fabric or carpeting, as the case may be. And that'll be it. The whole wall will look like the rest of the walls because they're all treated. The ceiling looks very different, but yeah, you don't get to see the ceiling. You just get to see the crappy wall that I started with, where I'm spreading it out as much as humanly possible to cover as much as the surface area as evenly as possible, without much care given to how it actually appears on camera. So what I used to do is just do a very tight framing with just me, and that would mean that if I do that for the audience, it'll be a bit of a mess for a couple of seconds. You know, it looks something similar to that with me without these edges. I won't do it on the fly, but you know, just the panel behind me meant that I could have occasional shots with just my head and shoulders where it looked reasonably nice on camera. Let's just zoom out again. So yeah, that'll look a lot better once it's finished. And yeah, can't wait to have it actually done. I don't know how long GRK will actually take to get those panels that I've ordered today and paid for today to come. But I had a regular who supports the channel and has done for probably the most time ever. Michael, if you're out there, thank you so much for all your support. Really appreciate it. But he sent me $50, and I just happened to be on the day that I'd been negotiating 10% off with GIK for the 3 panels that I wanted to order. So I thought, I'll sod it, I'll bite the bullet and just order them. So I paid the 600 quid in cash and the 50 quid with money that came in from PayPal that had typically been given to my wife. Why won't this fit on? Stop messing with
Yeah, that Michael guy's a good guy, man.
Yeah, very much so.
And you put back into your show all the time. You've spent many years just constantly putting into the show, and good on you, because it's ace.
Get this camera. I'm going to have to fiddle with this after the show's finished. Let's take that off. Keep looking at myself, trying to line myself up correctly, and I can't quite do it now. I've fiddled with it on the fly. I'll do that later. So yeah, it'll just look nicer when I'm on Random Joe's show doing a promotion for my book. I want it to look as nice as possible behind me. So that's why I'm doing that. That, and it'll obviously sound better for when I do the read by author version of the book.
Yeah, well done, like Neil said. And these it's like this. We're at a time now where things have changed in the rhetoric that and the level that we're at regarding the topic that we talk about, which is Earth and the measurements of. Earth is measured flat, always has been, always will be. And we're at a point now where, the book's coming out, the shows took a little bit of a turn. We're in this process now of change, and you're going to be promoting the book, updating the speakers, like you say, for the audiobook. So it's all a good change. It's a good time at the moment, I think.
So why do you think?
Times.
Why do you think that? Because I was thinking about this the other day. I said it before, but not on air. That all these other things we discussed, Coriolis, distance to the sun, gravity, nothing caused as much trouble as Earth being measured flat. It's caused trouble on both sides, because one side, let's say the flat Earth side, if you got a Discord server that says 24/7 flat Earth, you could see why they would want to just end it right there. 24 hours they got to talk. But on the ball side, this ends everything. The ball totally vanishes. So they want to talk about all these other things nonstop, but nothing has caused as much trouble as Earth being measured flat.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, the choreo. Sorry, Nathan.
I was just going to say it makes perfect sense from both perspectives, because for the last 10 years, in order to argue that Earth is not a ball, both sides need to accept that you can measure things like elevation angle measurements from surface level. And then upon accepting these flat Earth prerequisite measurements to build a ball, a flat earther can show you why it's not a ball. Like why the distance, also a flat Earth measurement, to the horizon based on an observer height that's measured from a flat Earth isn't functionally as the ball suggests. Now, that flat earther has had to accept the flat Earth measurements that create the ball without acknowledging that they are flat Earth measurements that they're making their ball with to say that the ball doesn't work. Now, for a glober, they need to do the same. Utilise flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurements, height of eye measurements off surface level, sea level measurements, depression angles, elevation angles, all these flat Earth measurements to make their ball to say that the ball does work based on its flat Earth utilisation of measurements of surface level. Now, if both parties that are in a perceived debate can accept that as ground rules, you'll measure Earth flat for your ball and say that it works perfectly. I'll measure Earth flat for a ball and say it doesn't work perfectly, and we can argue for hours. The minute we come along and go, you're using flat Earth measurements and you're using flat Earth measurements, here's how you measure Earth flat. That's before we get into how the ball's made with those measurements to say it doesn't work, or for you to tell me that my version of how the ball doesn't work, that's been built on flat Earth measurements, is wrong. We have to accept that Earth's measured flat, because we do. Now, if you're on the ball side currently hearing this rhetoric, you absolutely despise us. Because what you're going to do, deny the flat Earth prerequisite measurements that you need to make your ball, but you can't. So therefore, you use flat Earth measurements then. Yeah, locally, yeah, okay, I don't care if you can apologise for how flat you must measure Earth flat. And for the flatty that says, well, I've learned a lot about how the ball works, so I can show how it doesn't. As soon as I just show that the ball's made with flat earth measurements, I don't need any of the knowledge I've acquired to show how the ball doesn't work, because it's whistling past the flat earth measurements, and we must whistle past those measurements so I can show how a ball created with those flat earth measurements doesn't work. That's taken a long time to learn that information, and it was based on the understanding that everyone would ignore the flat earth measurements that we need to make this ball to say it doesn't work. How dare you take away this superior knowledge that I've acquired over the last 5 to 10 years? So it's going to be the case that we're despised on both sides. Makes perfect sense. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
the Earth doesn't care. The surface doesn't care. How it's surveyed doesn't care. How it's flown across, sailed upon, charted, mapped, navigated, built upon, surveyed. All of those functional, useful things that are done with regards to Earth's surface are done and have always been done by measuring Earth flat. And that is devoid or separate from the discussion about flat Earth versus globe Earth, when it's I'll build a globe and say how it doesn't work, you can build a globe and say how it does. Let's not mention that we're building it with flat Earth measurements, because they're the exclusive realm of the surveyors and the flight coordinators and those people who are practically applying Earth's surface level measurements to a daily business that they may partake in. But they're indeed not even aware that there's some inconsistency with their globe faith. In fact, quite often they'll suggest that their globe faith is congruent with their flat Earth measurements, and then apologise for how flat they measure it, and justify how that flat measurement means it can still functionally operate as a ball after the flat Earth measurements have been utilised. Me, I don't care. I'm just a little insignificant man in regards to this process that isn't reliant on me as a cog. There's plenty of people who are in this debate and discussion, perceived to be, which it isn't, thinking that they're a cog, like you have some consequence on the mechanism of the clock by metaphor, and you're not. None of us are cogs. The cogs, they turn to revolve the world around how flat it is, functionally. That's what the cogs do. Now, they do that regardless of whether or not you believe you're a cog or believe that you need to give the cogs permission to do what they do. The cogs still turn, the Earth still gets measured flat, regardless of your disbelief, your disavowment, your need to condemn somebody who verbalizes it. None of those things are consequential to how the clock functions, and you're just not a cog in that functionality. You might go out there and do something inconsequential that seems like you're a cog, like ancillary to the time, like going out and looking at the sun when you've got a grandfather clock. The cogs still turn in the grandfather clock just because you've looked at the sun. The fact that the sun's being measured with flat Earth elevation angles, and that was the base origin to form the clock, is irrelevant because you've gone out and measured elevation angles to it. Therefore, in your mind, you're a cog in the clock. You're not. The clock keeps ticking whether or not you're functionally doing something ancillary to that clock or not. And how the clock functions is inconsequential to you. It will do what it does. Now, can you smash the clock? There are other clocks. They work the same way. Same with functionally measuring Earth. It will always be measured flat because it is flat. And that's how it's functionally been used always, and will be used today, and will continue to be used tomorrow. No one's ever going to change how they functionally measure Earth's surface level, or sea level, or flight level. Those things will always remain exactly as they are. Now, the amount of apologies that you want to offer for how sphere-shaped it isn't, squaring circles with magical words like gravity, be my guest. It will not alter what the world is being utilised as, and it is a planar topology, a surface level, a sea level. The weasel words that are required by you, if you want to believe you're in a ball measuring the Polaris system that wraps around that ball from within it, then that's up to you. You can believe those things. That's just not how we measure the surface level. We being the real cogs that I'm not one of, and neither are you. So yeah, what else can I tell you? Getting the place acoustically treated. Got a window man out today. Another expense that wasn't necessarily what wanted, but one of my windows, the one I look directly at, they're all triple glazed in here, so the room's nice and isolated from the outside noises that can permeate in and ruin a recording. Well, one of the window frames, actually the hinges had failed, so it wasn't quite closing properly, which meant that it wasn't soundproof in here. It wasn't, isolated fully from the outside sounds. You could hear the traffic going by when the window wouldn't fully close. So I've had the double glazing man out today, and he's physically removed the entire pane of glass, stripped the window itself out of the frame, and then replaced the hinges, put it all back together again, and now it's completely silent in here. It's back to I think I've measured it at 18 dBA. Really quiet, quieter than a library in here when it's nothing going on, like there's no kids up. So in the middle of the night when I've measured it on my SPL meter to see what the actual background noise is, it's to the point where a really high quality microphone's noise floor can actually be higher than the room in some instances. Like the room is quieter than the microphone, which isn't normally the case. But this is a very well isolated room. So one of the other things, along with getting this treatment actually sorted out nicely, was doing the window that I speak at and getting it fixed so that it's fully isolated room again. It's just getting its little corners that I've left cut, I suppose you could say. Hats off to the cogs, says Roger. Roger Ledwell. Thank you very much indeed, Roger, for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Yeah, we're not cogs, though. A cog, by metaphor, is somebody who's actually functionally doing something that makes the world tick. Like the buildings be erected, the flights not crash into the ground, the positional information with respect to surface level being measured with angles, the people who create the maps and chart the world. Those are all the functions of the cogs, and they turn in a clock that's a flat earth clock. Now, by metaphor, it's a useful metaphor because a clock itself is derived from the movements of the lights. Now, you can infer that by looking at the lights or taking notes of their conception that we've given them, that's time, that we are in some way a cog. We're not. Flat earthing was never intended to be consequential to the world and how it operates, only a perception of what a flat earth is by making it into a stereotype of a person, rather than acknowledging just the pure raw measurements of Earth as a surface level. That's how Earth is measured. That just needs to be kept separate from being a flat earther, so that flat earthing can be what stands in opposition to the religion of being on a ball, so that only the ball and whether or not it functions is what's argued about. And simultaneously, whilst arguing about it, whistling past the actual measurements that are used to create that ball, as I said earlier. Intriguing subject currently, flat earth, for me. From a psychological point of view.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
So in the pre-show, I was explaining a video by Chase Hughes where he's describing the various different types of perception of next man, from this man needs to have his false views corrected, through this man can be ignored, although I wish him pain, to that's just that person doing as that person does. If they're an asshole, that's how they are. You can't change that person's being any more than you can change the wind today. It is what it is, and acceptance of it is going to give you a much happier life. Whereas wanting to fix the broken men that are around us is only going to lead to your own sorrow. You're not going to fix them. They are forever broken. And there's going to be people out there that thrive on finding next man's misery on his behalf. Like, I can superimpose my misery onto this man. Maybe I can lose him his job or cost him his family or cause him to be in financial hardship. It's like wishing sorrow on others isn't going to create happiness. It's crabs in a bucket mentality. But when you see that, there is a temptation to think, I am in need of levelling this playing field and fixing that which is broken. Whereas in reality, treat that nasty individual like the wind. Like, that's just the wind doing what it does. Might be irritating. It might be cold on my skin as I walk out. But ultimately, it's not going to have that much effect on what I'm doing with my day. It is what it is. People are people. People are scummy.
Yeah, it's like trying to make the wind stop. The wind does what it does. Let it blow right by you.
Yeah, and the assholes that oppose us because they're in pain. Most actions are led through fear. And fear of being wrong about the shape and nature of the world's surface that's being measured regardless of these cogs that aren't cogs. Worrying about it won't have any difference on the world that we actually inhabit, but it will cause those people to be miserable. And they are miserable. These aren't happy-go-lucky individuals that you'd want to go out and spend time with. They're not fun people. You know, when they gather around to see if they can cause pain to the next man. That's not a fun way of being. I do not envy those people.
I think they've only become like that since they've realised the Earth is measured flat. I mean, before that, they might have been okay type of people.
Maybe. I mean, I think prior to this, there was a certain level of snobbery amongst the dweeb community where they, in their mind, were privy to secret occult knowledge that was hidden from most people, when in reality most people were just bored by it and didn't care about it. Therefore, when they acquired the information which others didn't value, they felt that they could lord that information upon others. And when someone comes along, regardless of how right or wrong they are about the way they convey the information, this example having flat earthers as that person, it puts that person's secret super expressive knowledge at risk. And they don't want that. So they want to be able to come to a class of society that has been deemed as worthy of being humiliated and insulted, and humiliate and insult them based on their super special knowledge. And societally, people will tolerate that because flat earthers are considered the lowest of the low and acceptable to demean. So if you're a low value male and generally shunned and ignored in society, suddenly you can find your place using your super special geeky knowledge about stars or planets or gravity and lord it over the part of society that the rest of society will cheer for you mocking. So it gives the dweebs a full sense of elevated importance. That was what was true prior. I think those same dweebs have really lost their shit when it comes to us just saying it's just measured flat and there's nothing you can do about it. Furthermore, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I'm not going to suddenly change the world because I now know that the religion of the ball was contrasted not by the reality of measurements, but by the absurdity of people's behaviour when they look at conspiracy theories, which flat Earth has been classed as one, when it's just how Earth is measured. It'll never be recategorised into just geometry or just geography. No one's going to recategorise it. It's been set up so that the religion is contrasted with Egypts, dweebs, geeks, and conspiratards. So that it's dweeb on dweeb, idiot on idiot, at the lower ends of societally valued people, with the lowest of the low typically finding someone that they can perceive to be lower than their own social stature. Oh, you're a flat earther. Well, then, no longer am I lowest in this pecking order. Ha ha ha! I can demean you as the most stupid person ever. It's like, yeah, well, it takes the lowest low-value male to be weaponized in that way. For the benefit of heliocentrism, not them. Did everyone have fun yesterday? I released an 8-hour show to keep you all entertained while I was moving acoustic treatment around, enjoying my wife's birthday. Clearly not.
I didn't hear you. Come back with that.
You enjoy the show that I published? I put out a really long show that we filmed about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that confused the heck out of me because it started, I was listening to the whole thing. Then it went to another thing, and it was like long, but it repeated itself. Like where you started was where you ended. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I got a couple of things twice.
I mean, it's often going to be the case that the theme of the show is repeated if it's an 8-hour show. We're going to go over the same subjects multiple times. Like me talking about Chase Hughes, that example is going to come through to the audience twice. First, slightly less refined while I'm trying to find the video and can't in my shorts feed from doom scrolling. Too many thousands of doom scrolled videos.
Yeah, that was that show yesterday. Boy, were we sniffing our farts there, talking about freaking photography that led into freaking a double slit, and they did it and come in and wake us up. Light's not a freaking wave.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is useful on a journey of flat earthing and figuring out where science has been hijacked to convince us that we're on a ball, you know, taking it away from a maths or geography categorization and putting it into a science one. But once you understand that magic trick, some of the advancements that actually have resulted in technological advancements that benefit humanity don't really concern me too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the fact that I've got a nice working computer and we have got quantum mechanics to thank for that. But ultimately, do we care? I'm not that dweeby. Now you know that science has been used to brainwash you in a category error. Do you care beyond that? When you know the trick? I don't.
Nope. Well, I think that was the last show that Jen was on. Never came back after that.
Is that right?
Yep. He was calling me shit, not even worthy to be in the soles of his shoes. And then he left and never came back.
All right. I'm sure he'll come back eventually. They always do.
Unless they've been kicked out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's less than one hand's worth of people that have been banned from the show. Very, very rare occurrence. Like I say in every intro, you'll be warmly welcome back on the next show. But Jin's objections with us will probably remain because our objections to him are of a conspiratorial nature. Like, if you're going to stereotype Flat Earth about being people and what people say and what people do, and you represent that stereotype, then, in my opinion, you're just playing into the hands of the absurd stereotypes ascribed to this subject so that it can be distracted from how Flat Earth just gets measured always. Said earlier, if you're going to have a ball created with those measurements, you need both sides to whistle past that fact. And for one side, it's so that you can lean or leverage people's dismay at the suggestion that Earth might be flat into saying, no, if you understand this truth, you'll open your eyes to other really important conspiracy here truths that I have to tell you about.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how everything's a lie and how we all been lied to. And this is beneficial to you that you think the way I think you should think.
Unitox Femu in the chat saying, Batman, how are you doing? Any save today? Yeah, by elevating their dweeby selves above flat earthers, their heads have swollen so much that they do actually think that they're secret superheroes. That's what we were discussing on last show, right? What it is to be Batman.
Yes, that's correct. And you still got people coming into the chat, same old people. They could come on and join, but they'd rather just chat skank. You can only time them out so much, Nathan. They come back with the same thing over and over again.
Let 'em. Like I say, in the Chase Hughes categorization of people, it's like they are doing their job by being that person. That's their nature. So it's like you can't change a leopard's spots.
Like this guy's name is disqualified, right? And he says, just wondering, does measuring flat entail our baseline forms a straight line with the GP of a star when measuring an elevation angle, or just looking at it?
Has this guy got a boat? Is he going to hold a party? Are we going to go out drinking on the high seas? We're going to sunbathe on his deck? Is that what he's asking? Are you cool?
So when measuring an elevation angle, we look towards the GP of a star?
Did you hear my question? Is this guy cool? Are we going to get to go out on this dweeb's boat? Let's start inferring what I actually mean in my tone of disdain.
The GP is on the ground, so do we look in the direction where the GP is when measuring flat? Nathan, do you have a boat next to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've got a diagram on screen, though, that shows how elevation angles are working with respect to a planar surface. I mean, if you want to check it out. I mean, it's pretty boring. I can't be honest. Oh, very boring. But if we're going out partying on a boat, and that's why you need to know, then I'm all ears. I mean, yeah, we need to learn how to navigate the high seas if we're going out and sunbathe on the deck of your boat. Oh, what's that? No, I don't actually have a boat. I just want to talk about how ball-shaped the world is after we measure it. Yeah, go away. You're just boring.
So he says, not on flat Earth. I'm sorry, but talking about GP and distances and directions, not height. Does he realize that all of these things he said, distance, direction, and GP, ground position, you said you weren't talking about flat Earth? Yes, you were.
Yeah, but why? Are we going out on a boat with this guy? I keep asking. Nobody's giving me answers. Are we going to do something cool with this information or what? Yeah, we're going out navigating the high seas. Are there going to be girls on your boat in bikinis or what? Or is it just us adenoidal idiots discussing it for no reason? Can't cope with how flat Earth gets measured with elevation angles like the one depicted on screen. Oh, the world that we paint on top of this ball is the world that we live in, and you need to understand, because secretly I'm Batman, and I'm saving the world from your ignorance.
Here's a guy for you. His name is @Batman and Oakley. So you're going to get timed out right away. Attacking a person again.
Yeah, that's what these people have got. Ad hominem, at the man. I don't care. Water off a duck's back. Like I say, I would be intrigued to go on a boat. Dave Weiss styley. That sounds like fun. You know, when I'm knocking Dave Weiss in his boat, it's mostly out of jealousy. Like, I want to be out on a boat sunbathing.
You know, even hiking. I mean, someone said to me the other day that you've never measured a flat one day. I said, well, I have actually. I've used an OS map I've got a bearing of where I am out in the open, and then I've got a point on the map where I want to get to. So I've put a point on the map as the crow flies. I've worked out the distance of the scale on the map, which is in miles, which is a horizontal linear distance. And I've used my compass then to get a bearing. And then I've got the compass in my hand, at the front of my chest, horizontal, parallel to surface level. And then I'll guide and navigate my way to point B, which I think was about 3 to 4 miles away. And I got there. So I navigated and measured the Earth flat. I have done that. I'm very proud of that.
Okay, so is it bothering them that we're saying the word measuring? So do you want us to say We recognize the Earth to be flat while doing whatever one deck was doing, right? So we recognize it, that it can only be flat. Is that what's bothering you? Because we say we measure Earth flat and we don't have the dimensions.
I think that is the problem, because ideally we'd measure it flat and then not mention how flat it was measured. That's what's been the order of the day for 10 years. Like, yes, we will use south as a flat orientation and directionality. Yes, we will measure our height from the surface level. And yes, we will infer a distance to a geometric horizon below the surface level we just measured flat, labelled surface level in our Earth curve maths. Just nobody mention the preceding flat Earth measurements. Now let's get to the real business of arguing how ball-shaped it is or isn't at the geometric horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height of a measured flat Earth. Just don't say off a measured flat Earth. It's very annoying.
Exactly, you got it.
We'll all get along swimmingly if we don't acknowledge how flat we are all measuring Earth and just argue about how ball-shaped the world is after we've measured it flat. Like, we'll get coordinates, that's flat Earth elevation angle measurements, on a flat Cartesian grid. And when we've got those coordinates, we'll ask you, a flat earther, how they work on a flat Earth. Now, obviously, that requires both of us ignore how flat the coordinates themselves are. So long as we can ignore together how flat these coordinates are, I can ask you how they work on a flat Earth, and you can tell me how they don't work on a ball.
And that goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Brian, bless him, summarised it beautifully. What are you trying to do? Make us redundant? What, by pointing out the very first thing we do is measure Earth as a flat plane? That's annoying because it makes the oh-so-far sniffy information that you've learned about the transition from those flat measurements into sphericity, for how it don't work when you move the light with respect to the sun in an orbital motion that's also taking place on a flat plane of reference through a bifurcated flat plane at the equatorial minimums measured with a flat plane of Polaris. If we can just ignore all of those things, I can detail how the orbit doesn't quite match up with what I see of the light in the sky I measured flat in the first... I mean, let's not mention that bit. The light I measured, it, in some form, let's just call it a degree. In fact, the curve of the protractor means that we've got curve. Cool? Everyone cool? Right. Now, you tell me how it's not working on a ball. I'll tell you how you're wrong. Everyone will get on with their day and everyone's happy. Just don't mention how flat an elevation angle is, because we'll be using them on both sides to argue about how ball-shaped it is or isn't. So let's not just undermine everything by pointing out that we've measured Earth flat first. That's no fun at all. How am I going to express my fart-sniffing knowledge about how a ball doesn't work if I've already acknowledged how flat we've measured it to achieve that ball? Nobody's having fun if we just measure Earth flat and then say, well, that's the end of the discussion. That ends the discussion. I'll just say it's flat because we measure it flat. How dare you?
You have to be able to explain how the globe don't work, Nathan. Don't you think I don't know that? You think I don't know that there's a flat plane refracted? You think I didn't hear that?
I'm going to go the other way. No, I'm going to lean into how your ball does work with its flat plane measurements of surface level, height soffit, parallel eye level, depression angles with respect to a planar surface. I mean, I'll explain how the ball does work. That's why I've got all these diagrams. They're not there for our health. It's how the ball does work with these flat Earth measurements. I mean, obviously, we've got to create the ball first with the flat Earth measurements that we measure off surface level. But once we've done that, you can back engineer all of those flat measurements into a surface level that's curving. I mean, no, you don't. You just work from within the ball on a flat plane that's inside the ball with latitude lines marked around it like a protractor. But once you're in the ball, there's a ball. So ball's working, right? Let's just accept that. You know, it's okay that we're using flat Earth measurements to create this ball. Once we've created it with the flat Earth measurements, we've got a ball to believe in. Isn't that good enough? There we go. Look at this on screen. It's even got a little map-shaped suggestion on the protractor where the angle's terminating has been erased by the map that's drawn onto the protractor. So, therefore, we've got a ball, right? This is good enough. Just ignore the flat plane bifurcating this glorified protractor and just pay attention to the map on the ball-shaped bit. Everybody's happy, right? Ball. There it is. Don't worry about the flat Earth measurements. It's not for you to concern yourself with. You're not measuring them. You're not a cog. But you just worry about how ball-shaped they say it is in this diagram. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Almost as if you're saying like the globe is flat and it's measured like that, and the globe is flat and the Greeks all knew that.
Yeah, they had to know that or they couldn't have created the ball. They're not stupid. Obviously, they've got to start with something, and they started with the measurements of Earth as a flat plane to create the ball to think outside that crazy square flat box that the world was and is being measured as. Nobody needs that. If you've got epicycles that need explaining, how are you going to do that unless you take the flat Earth measurements and create a ball and put it in motion around the sun and call it retrograde motion? That's a job well done, that is. I mean, that's fine work. Admirable. And you can believe that the ball that they came up with, the out-of-the-box thinking that is a spherical world, based on the flat Earth measurements that were accurately gathered, means that the surface is actually curving. I mean, you can believe that. I give you my permission. You have my blessing.
So
It's not the same. Bad one, Dick.
Just saying back to the Greeks then, because somebody coming into this new, looking at how was the circumference of the Earth measured? You'll get the Eratosthenes example and Alberuni, which when you read it slowly a couple of times, it's telling you it's actually measured flat using elevation angles and depression angles from surface level. It's just
Yeah. No,
what they're
all you
saying
need
is
to
right
do...
there. That's the apparent globe proof.
Yes,
Or the globe
say
measurement,
the
but it's
second
not a
bit,
globe
not the
measurement.
first bit. That's the apparent globe proof. Just say that bit. Don't say that they knew how they were measuring angles from surface level. Just say degrees. And then you don't have to acknowledge the flat bit. Just say, therefore globe works. If you just say the second bit and not the first bit, one deck, everyone will love you. Easy. Why'd you have to be a pain in the arse and acknowledge the flat Earth measuring bit? Nobody likes that bit, one deck.
Sorry, I won't mention
Oh,
it.
hold on. You're being a little too tough on him. I mean, we went right past it for years. We didn't see it. But maybe, Nathan, just possibly maybe, that no matter what we say, they're still not seeing it. Gotta give them a little more time, Nathan.
I don't really mind. I mean, surface level's going to remain part of the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. It's right there on screen. Surface level. It's required. That's not my forcing them to recognise it. It's there in the maths whether they like it or not. This cog will continue to turn whether they acknowledge part of the machinery or not. It doesn't matter, does it? The machinery requires surface level. It's right there. It's labelled. The eye level's parallel with it.
Okay, so you're going to tell me that everybody, all my teachers from kindergarten to, let's say, 6 years in college, that they're all wrong. And as a flat earther, I got to listen to you?
No, you don't have to listen to anything. Me saying surface level is it consequential to whether or not the Earth curve mathematics as depicted on screen has surface level. I am not the arbiter of such things. Me pointing out this, me drawing a little mouse, underlining it and going, look there, surface level. Now, how that is utilised and measured has nothing to do with me. Now, me pointing out, is that me saying your teachers lied to you? No. It's me pointing a little mouse to the word surface and then the word level and then pointing out how this is fundamentally required to build a belief that there's a horizon below the surface level. It's just me pointing out that the surface level requiring measuring, that's just part of what it is. What if I didn't say it? Would that mean that I'm not suggesting that your teachers lied to you? I wasn't suggesting they did.
So everything they taught me goes out the window because you say it's measured flat. Well, but you're not accounting for the curvature of the Earth that we demonstrate time and time again when we show you boats going over horizon, buildings that are half blocked by a freaking curve.
Yeah, I will again lean into it. Okay, so I'm not acknowledging the distance to the horizon that the boats go over at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off surface level. Okay, I'll acknowledge that we will have a suggestion that boats are going over a geometric horizon below the surface level that we measured to get our height above it. There it is labelled in the maths called surface level. It's got height. That calculation is fundamentally reliant on us measuring our height. That's verticality with respect to horizontality with an altitude number attached to it as a form called a measurement. It's axiomatically requiring flat Earth be measured at surface level for height. And the distance that's inferred is a horizontal linear description that we have arbitrarily applied a number to. Miles or kilometres or furlongs or stadia. They're all flat. Now, me saying it doesn't mean I'm saying your granny robbed from you or that your teachers lied to you. It's just an axiomatic principle in this machine called Earth curve maths that you can lean into to believe that there's a physical geometric horizon below the surface level we measured. You can believe that. Good for you. Bless you. But you can't deny the surface level. It's required. It's one of the cogs for your belief in a ball. So it doesn't matter if I'm saying it. It doesn't matter if I don't say it. It's still going to be there. We're still going to measure surface level. That's what altitude is, perpendicular to a plane of reference in an upward vector with an arbitrary number ascribed in kilometres or metres or feet or inches or yards or furlongs or stadia or whatever it is you want to arbitrarily ascribe to a vertical orientation when described perpendicular to a plane of reference and given a number called height. That's what you need. It's 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. When you say the boat's going over the horizon that's below the surface level I just measured. But we just measured surface level, didn't we? It's not, I need you to confirm it because suddenly you're an important cog, and if you don't confirm it, the cogs fail. No, they don't. It's not like me asking had any bearing on whether or not this cog was a cog. It's right there slapping you, bull-believing idiots, right in your dumb faces. Because obviously we've got to back-engineer the actual surface level into any maths that inquires about where the horizon may or may not appear, and the distance in horizontal linear ascribed value that's also arbitrary to that suggested distance when we demonstrate it in an orthographic view. Now, we don't get to see the side of our own heads, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like you're seeing yourself from space looking down at a tangential point below the surface level we're measuring. We just need a height off surface level so we can ascribe a horizontal linear distance measurement. Now, what's that? I'm wrong, surface level bends. No, it's right there axiomatically tied to the eye level parallel with the surface level. So if this bends, it doesn't axiomatically hold up for the mathematics you need to measure Earth flat for your ball faith. That you're welcome to. You've got my permission. I know how important people see my opinion when I'm not a cog. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I tell them I'm not a cog. They still want me to be a cog. Like, what if
So-
you knock this cog out of the clock? I'm not in the clock. I'm not part of this maths. This is my maths. And me pointing it out doesn't mean I'm saying your teachers are liars either. It's just me showing words in an orthographic
So
mathematics.
no answer for why half a building is missing.
No, I do.
Observation.
It's missing because according to Earth curve mathematics, there's a distance to a geometric horizon based on a measurement of 1.22 times the square root of said flat Earth measurement off surface level. So why? Oh, because this maths says it will disappear at a distance that requires us measure Earth flat to acquire it. So I do. I mean, I'll lean into it. What's that? Boat's going over a geometric horizon. Yeah, that we acquired after measuring Earth flat to come up with that inference in an orthographic calculation. That's where your distance to the boat's going over is. It's on screen, marked with an X and labelled horizon, right there below the surface level that we will measure for our altitude, parallel with eye level. So without these axiomatic flat Earth measurements, your inference that a boat's going over a geometric horizon below the surface level at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off a flat Earth. That's not me just saying it. It's part of the maths, whether you like it or not. So if you want to take the flat Earth measurement from surface level and infer that there's a geometric horizon below that measured surface level, you're welcome to use that as an explanation in an orthographic view that ignores perspective. You can do that. You're dumb. It's part of your religion that's got flat Earth measurements in it. That doesn't make the measurements mine. It's not like I'm leaning into this as my proof of a flat Earth. It's just there in this punch bowl like a turd. A turd in your punch bowl. A flat Earth turd floating around labelled surface level. But you drink it, man. You drink this turd-filled punch. You drink it. Me, I'm just looking at it and going, look at that turd. It's floating around labelled surface level. What's that? I don't have an explanation. Yeah, but your explanation requires you measure Earth flat, though, doesn't it? It's not mine. You drink that turd-filled punch. You, not me.
You know, you can look at the map with the rivers, all the rivers of the world, and it's pretty interesting. You can literally see the logic of the rivers flowing based on elevation of every city which the rivers are passing.
Logic.
Yeah, elevation profiles showing the directionality of flow of rivers from high to low with respect to the relief measured with respect to sea level, where the rivers terminate at surface level, measured with respect to a plane, with the same thing. Altitude from surface level. Yeah, it's called an elevation profile. Correct. 8 King. Shout out to, was it Roger Ledwell who gave me a super chat for my wife's birthday yesterday? Thank you very much indeed, Roger. Really appreciate the support. It's a game swimming in about an hour, so I might try and end the show relatively soon and then see if I can squeeze an extra half an hour to an hour. Oh, there we are. Perfect timing. Did you want to do an hour on the book if I end the show now? Playing Boggle.
No.
Julia Coloured Brain. Oh, okay. Apparently there's an exciting game going on, so may not get any bookwork done today. It's been hailing. It's been 4 seasons in one day. So as we were driving, there was all these leaves falling off a tree, or off the trees in this lay-by embankment on the way to the trampolining lesson my eldest daughter has on a Wednesday. So it's like, oh look, it looks kind of like autumn with all these leaves blowing around all over the place. And then as we travelled a little bit further, the sun cracks through the sky, through the clouds, and it felt really warm in the car. It's like, oh, it's like a summer's day suddenly. I'm in a t-shirt, quite happy. And then hail started coming down. Oh my God, it's like winter. And then a stiff breeze hit us, and it's like, yeah, it's just a bit like spring as well. So we've literally had 4 seasons in one day today. Any Crowded House fans out there will know what I'm talking about.
So you are in a t-shirt. That's what I got said to me. You're going to take your logic from a 45-year-old man sitting in his t-shirt on the internet? Too lazy to get a job? What's wrong with you, Neil?
Like, this is not logic. Category error. Hello. right? When I point out what's on screen, that's not a logical inference. I'm not saying logically anything. I'm just underlining words that are part of a mathematics that relies on surface level measurements. Is that logic? No. Is 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off surface level? Is that logic? That's maths. Maths based on measurement off surface level. That's not logic. Now, me saying it doesn't will it into existence either. It already exists. You idiots require Earth be measured flat for your inference that you say boats are going over the horizon. I agree. All right, yeah. There's a maths that explains that. We measure Earth flat for it at surface level. I'm joining you in your dumbass idiot belief that we're on a ball with a horizon below the surface level we measure. I'm leaning into it. I'm saying, yeah. Don't take your education from a man in a t-shirt, 45-year-old man in a t-shirt. No.
I'm not talking about distance. I'm talking about the fact that there is half of a building missing. What does distance have to do with that?
Half the building's missing? You need to get in touch with the Builders Guild immediately. Sounds like there's a big problem.
Oh, it's an Earth curve. Gets in the way. That's why. It's simple.
Oh, Earth curve, like at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height of a flat Earth.
There you go again.
Yeah.
You're bringing this up again.
Yeah, measured flat to achieve. Mathematically. That's not logic, by the way. It's maths. Your maths, where Earth curve only exists in said maths. Earth curve, there's no real Earth curve. But mathematically, you can derive it from flat Earth measurements off surface level. 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the distance to the geometric horizon where this chat skanking numpty thinks boats are going over. No, that horizon's below the surface level that we measured flat to achieve our height, perpendicular to a plane of reference. That's altitude. It's part of the measurements, not logic. Measurements, your measurements for your boat going over a geometric horizon? Yeah, you'll need to measure a flat Earth for it. What, you don't like it? You're going to take your words from a man in a t-shirt? No, take it from your own maths. Not mine. It's that metaphorical turd labelled surface level in your punch bowl of boats going over a geometric edge after measuring Earth flat to achieve said inference.
It's weird that because the horizon's never been defined as a physical location. It's defined as like where the sky and the surface of Earth appear to meet. Now, looking at that on screen, the horizon isn't, apparently meeting the surface. It's below the surface. So what's going on there then?
I've no idea. This is not my punch. I'm not drinking it. I can see the turd. It's right there, surface level. I mean, what's that? You're not going to take this information from a 45... No, don't take it from me. No, me saying it is inconsequential to how the surface level's level. That's just how it is. The surface is level. It's required to be so or you won't get your altitude above it. It's just that simple. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take it as logical consistency. You don't even have to accept it as mathematics. You don't have to accept it at all. Doesn't matter if you even know it exists. Surface level will still be surface level, though.
So if a guy in a tuxedo tells you, listen, that fire is not hot, just stick your hand over it. But the guy in a mental institution saying, look, I'm in here because I got lit on fire. Don't touch it. Whose word are you going to take?
Hold on. Can I hear the choices again?
You got a man, well-dressed, top hat, tuxedo.
No, I was joking.
Treated. Oh, okay. Well, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you're saying these idiots don't understand that hot things can burn. Yes. And this surface level is a hot potato required for you to infer a distance to a geometric horizon for boats to go over. And I'm saying you can do that. You are welcome to. Use the surface level to measure your height above it. You're welcome to use horizontal linear miles. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. What's that? You thought they were mine? Yeah, they are. I own miles and altitude measurements. That's correct. Yeah, they are basically Nathan Oakley's. You can praise me as your god. All right, well, that's it. An hour of fun has been had. Anything anybody wants to add? No? With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Got something to say. The door's always open, as Nathan tells them. If they want to come in and have a conversation on the topic, they can do.
Yes, the door is always open. Now I need to come up with a thumbnail about how the globe is measured flat.
Don't use a turd, for God's sake. It's crazy that diagram you were talking about, how a globe believer can look at that and think that's some sort of curved measurement. Same as the Alberuni, same as Eratosthenes examples. Not one curved measurement ever.
What are you talking about? We got the circumference of the Earth. What do you mean? Was that Alberuni or Eratosthenes?
Both.
Both of them measured the curvature of the Earth. Circumference, right?
No, both of them derive curvature from flat Earth measurements.
Oh dear, here we go again.
We don't want to talk about that anymore, though.
Why does it always got to go to flat Earth measurements?
I know, Nathan. Spoil it for everybody.
I didn't spoil anything. I didn't infer that Earth's sphericity was capable of being implied based on a distance to a horizon that boats are suggested to be going over. All I did was say the suggestion, not made by me, that boats are going over a physical geometric sphere to a horizon requires Earth be measured flat. Because it does.
Yeah, you say measured flat. Thank you. Now we got enemies on both sides.
I'm not trying to make enemies.
Can't you just say it appears flat, Nathan?
No, measured flat. Find out what the measurements that the maths require are. I can't help that, can I?
Can't you just say the aspect of Earth is flat?
The aspect that we measure. Yeah, the aspect that we measure is flat.
We did have flatness in the beginning, although we did have to get the average levelness of that sea level, mean sea level. But that was already here, wasn't it? We didn't level the sea out. Humanity didn't level. It was just level for us. Okay, yeah, we did measure the average levelness, which is called mean sea level. That was here for us, waiting. And that's what we've utilised for all measurements thereafter. The elevation profiles and mapping and navigation. It was flat anyway, before it was measured.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing. Earth is measured flat, but it was already flat to begin with. To prompt us on to continue measuring it flat. We had no bloody choice.
what we was dealt: flatness, levelness, horizontalness.
So you could say anything but measured. You could say it appears flat, or utilize it flat. And when you say measured flat, public enemy.
Right, I've crapped out a thumbnail. Jolly good, jolly good.
That's it.
Picture of a flat Earth azimuth, equidistant North Pole projection inside like a mount that you'd normally have a globe in, like a gimbal almost. And the show number Flat Earth 2513 live. The globe is measured flat.
Yep, the globe is measured flat. The bloody Greeks all knew that.
Next, I've got to get all the Lego off the tops of these panels so I can start shifting them around and drilling holes. That's going to be for another day.
You just hang the panels and then just put a power supply to them, or where do they sort of wire into? So,
No, they're not powered.
oh, they're just like, oh, right, I'm getting you. Just acoustic sort of.
Yeah, they're not active bass traps. They're not like reverse
Just bounces.
subwoofers.
Just like bounces the sound around a bit better.
Oh, they absorb sound.
All right. And what was there? Did you not have some of them behind you anyway?
Yeah, they're just a mess.
Oh, they all got it.
No, they're just a mess. So when I first started treating the space I first treated was behind me, but obviously I had a limitation in terms of the number of panels I had. So I've kind of spread them out in a random pattern across the wall to cover the most surface area as possible, as opposed to make them look neat. So what I'm going to do is rearrange them so they're covering the surface nicely and look presentable, as opposed to just cover the most surface area as possible.
Yeah. Try and do both things, like.
Yeah, well, it'll only take a couple of more panels and suddenly it'll look really presentable. You'll see when I'm finished.
Like you say, it'll look good that when the book comes along, and like you say, for the audio book, they just look more presentable, like, for you. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, that's not. It'll sound better, so it'll do a better job of mitigating for acoustic anomalies in the room for when I do record the audiobook. But in terms of what it'll immediately benefit me with, is just better appearance. It'll look better. Now, obviously, the translation in terms of improved audio quality is just universally going to apply to anything I'm doing. But the aesthetic appearance, the improvement in terms of what I look like with my backdrop being all nice and uniform, will be just a benefit for how I appear when I'm out promoting the book.
So
Yeah,
where's the book at now then, Nathan? Is the publisher sort of looking over it now?
No, I'll send him the 8th draft once it's finished. So I've spoken to him over the weekend, and he's very excited to get hold of it. He was explaining how to set my wife up as an affiliate and things like that. I asked him about templates for the covers.
Yeah, so he'll have a good read through that now, will he? And with you and Paula, and maybe he'll just, if anything, a bell rings in his head or something, he's highlighted. He'll bring it with you and suggest any changes, maybe further last changes.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll read through it once I've submitted it to him, and if there are anything obvious that needs adjusting, he'll just say so. But no, he's not going through it with us. We'll go through it on our own, and then we'll pass it on to him, and he'll just see the potentially finished product.
Wonder how he'll read. Is he just reading it like from a punctuality type of perspective, or do you think it'd be nice if he just a normie, how he takes on the book, as in, when you're describing about these prerequisites and surface level and sea level and altitude and how the globe was derived from flat Earth measurements. I wonder how a normal person is actually going to respond to that.
He's not. I mean, for a start, he's got half a dozen books that he publishes from other flat earthers already that are selling quite nicely for him. So he's doing reasonably well from other flat earth books that he publishes. So that, to him, this is an addition to his arsenal of material that he's already selling.
So who else does he publish for then? He told you.
Other flat earthers whose names won't get mentioned because I haven't.
Right.
Looked. That's partially why he originally approached me. Is like, look, I've got all these flat Earth books and they're selling really well. You could be one of the people selling really well. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. That was 5 years ago. No, 3 years ago, something like that.
Could those names be guests?
Potentially. I don't see why not.
Eric DeBeer's got a fair few books, but I don't know whether he does that solo.
Yeah, there's all sorts of opportunities that open up once we're finished.
He must have an idea. He may have spoke to you about. As he spoke to you about sales. He'll have an idea of how these flat Earth books sell, quantity. How many in the first sort of quarter? Does it increase with time, or is the initial release the biggest sort of selling point? It must give you maybe an idea of how the other books have gone sell-wise and financially wise. Does it give you an indication of that?
Yes, when he was first pitching me the idea alongside 10th Man, he did go through those numbers with me. Since it's become a lot more real, as in I do physically have something to sell, I don't really want to ask him. I vaguely remember what he told me 3 years ago about the sales from the other published authors that he's got on his books, and they were good, but I just don't want to, I don't want to raise my expectations in any way. I just want to get a good product produced, give it to him, and then see how it goes in that regard. I hope it sells. I hope it does well. We will see. At the moment, I'm just excited to get my acoustic treatment done. And I'm really pleased the window's fixed.
Was it leaking?
Leaking sound, yeah. Just so quiet in here. When it's completely sealed, like all the windows closed properly and everything's all sealed up, because it's triple glazed, it is incredibly well isolated in here. So it's so quiet.
I could do with triple glazed. I think I've only got double glazed, but I live right close to the motorway network. You can actually, you can hear it. If I go in my back garden area, you can hear the motorway. I don't notice it as much now. I've been there a while, but it did annoy me when I first moved in there. But we moved in there because my partner fell in love with the garden at the time. And I was like, well, I don't think I can put up knowing. And you can see a couple of pylons. So you're sort of a bit noisy, a bit polluted sort of thing. But yes, and you can. I suppose if you walked in my house you've never been in, you think, God, it's bloody noisy. But I don't notice it as much now because I'm just used to that noise. But it's funny in the summertime, if we're sort of outside just lounging around, I always say, I'm just sort of relaxing on a chair or something like that. You can hear the sort of the drone of the motorway, and I always it does sound like the ocean. So I pretend I'm on the beach, and that the motorway sound is the ocean, the waves lapping. Which works a little bit.
My wife's folks previously although not for a couple of years now, lived with a railway cutting in their back garden. So like the trains were, a couple of 100 yards, if that, away from you. And you'd be sat and then suddenly a train would go by. And for me, visiting as a guest, it was really noticeable. Like everything shaking and there's a train going past. And for them, because they'd lived there for so long, they, like you say, just didn't even notice. So they wouldn't even recognise that it was happening.
That's right. So I do notice the silence when I go to other people's houses. Then I think, God, isn't it peaceful and quiet here? And then I notice that there is no noise. Even though I don't notice the noise, I notice the lack of noise when I'm in probably if I was in your place there now with the windows shut, I'm thinking, God, this is nice and quiet.
Yeah, but it's beyond that in here. So because of the way it's been isolated, you can't hear anything. So we're set back from the road, so it wasn't that noisy to begin with. But you can't hear the wind, you can't hear the birds chirping. If someone 5 doors down's mowing their lawn, that noise doesn't get in. Like I say, I've measured it. I'm sure it's something like 18 dB, which is quieter than a library.
Yeah.
I never hear, like when you ask, can you guys hear that? I never do. But sometimes when I listen to the Uncut After Show, I do hear it. Like, say, the distant lawnmower.
Yeah, mics pick up sound. If you can hear it, your mic can hear it.
So why don't I hear it on the show when it's going on?
Because you're involved with the show, really. You're not constant. You're not listening for anything at that time, are you?
No. I'm listening. The other day, I'm listening to the show, the Uncut After Show, and I hear Nathan making coffee. I know he is because I hear the counters getting beat up. But I didn't hear it during the show.
He was reading messages out, wasn't you?
Those poor counters.
Talking about when either myself or my wife is whacking out the coffee grounds from the portafilter, and there's like a tub that's got a bar across it, and you have to take out the portafilter from the coffee machine and whack it violently against this bar to remove the compressed coffee grounds from the portafilter that's had high pressure water pushed through it. Well, it means that it sort of sticks to the portafilter, and you've got to whack it really hard several times. So you hear bang, 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 bang. And then normally while that's going on, you're hearing bzzz as the burr grinder's grinding up all the coffee beans.
So basically, I just got an analogy. So a lot of these old arguments are stuck to people. So you got to whack them around a few times, shake them until all those coffee grinds are out. I mean, old arguments.
Now, most people's motivation comes from being fearful of something. In the case of this subject, it's your own ignorance of how heliocentric the world is claimed to function. And therefore, you'll have to go through that learning curve of complete ignorance of heliocentrism through to complete understanding of heliocentrism to then relinquishing all heliocentrism again because you realise it's redundant after understanding how flat Earth the measurements are. But then once you're at that stage, you are less inclined to worry about next man being wrong about it because you're not in fear of your lack of knowledge. You don't care. You become apathetic. Therefore, when someone else is still in that fear-based mindset where they want to brace against something that they can't explain or argue with you as a flat earther because their belief is being challenged, you become less inclined to want to correct them. You just look at them as the guy driving past you flipping you the bird. You're like, well, wankers will be wankers. You know what I mean? On with my day.
What I'm saying is the way we discuss things on the show, we don't have to address them personally. But as we discuss things on the show, you never know. People are listening. The penny may drop, and those old coffee grinds may gently come tumbling out. But most of the time, to get them out, like you say, you got to violently whack it, or at least run water through it.
I don't know. We're getting into the weeds of metaphors too much.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, listen. We got to kill an hour plus, and we can't just say how Earth is measured flat. You jump in the shark, Nathan. By the way, that was thrown at me. I didn't come up with that. One of the, what do you call it? Should I say your fans?
Yeah, you can say fans.
Well, what do you call someone that listens every day, right? That responds every day and is concerned about everything we talk about here. I call that a fan.
That's a super fan.
Fanatic.
Fans of the show, you know, because they'll come and go, hey, you guys are really knocking it out of the park at the moment with these flat earth measurements. I haven't been around for a couple of weeks. How's the book coming along? That's a fan of the show, right? They're not dedicating their entire day to what we do, but they like what we do, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
What you're describing is a super fan.
The one I'm describing, Nathan, hold on before you go on, Nick. The one I'm describing is waiting for the show to start. And as soon as the show starts, you know, you see messages come flying by. So, and they're constantly waiting to pounce on anything you have to say. And when you don't have a show, you get no show today. Sorry.
Nathan's doing it anyway because he's done there's some good talks on the show, going over the the measurements of surface level and how the globe was derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements and sea level, high level parallel with surface level. So Nathan gets that in along the way. We're no longer sort of interested in doing the housekeeping questions, but it's good Nathan is doing that. But maybe we could, we've got to keep highlighting these things, same as you did with the housekeeping questions. Mentioning about the Earth curve maths and calculator derives surface level. And point that out.
Well, I got a question for you. Is there any way you could measure Earth anything other than flat?
No.
Okay, show's over. See you later.
Well, it depends if you've got a trundle wheel, mate.
What about the building that's half missing?
Are you trying to say, Neil, that you can't get an elevation angle from the top of a mountain? Is that what you just said?
I'm saying if you've got half missing buildings, that sounds definitely like a code violation to me.
Yeah, that's dangerous, that.
Very.
No. They're not half missing at all times. Sometimes I can see them, and other times I can't. And the times that I can't, that's the bulge of the Earth getting in the way.
At 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off surface level, obviously. Right, I am going to round out. Any last words?
No, everything's good.
Hopefully we'll have a slightly more extended show tomorrow. We'll see how we get on.
We can still do some videos as well, but there's nothing stopping us still looking at surveyors and people measuring Earth flat.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's continue. I don't mind doing
Well, I did have one question.
Go ahead.
Someone was asking, are you still on schedule for around that Easter release?
Yes. It's causing feedback, by the way, one day. You have to the whole after show. But with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus Panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.